Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often, we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our wonderful universe. And I am broadcasting today from Sedona, Arizona. I decided to be spontaneous because of all the uncertainty in my life and decided to just take a spontaneous road trip to a place that's near and dear to my heart. I live in Southern California, so it's a very short 7-hour drive, but it's a magical place to be, to recoup and rejuvenate. So welcome to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're going to be talking today about making peace with uncertainty. And I want to say that the only certainty in life is uncertainty. Think about it. Everything is changing moment to moment. That's why it's so important to be mindful of what you're thinking, feeling, and experiencing. Because what happens in this present moment creates the next experience for ourselves. And if you have any doubt about that, just think about, how you're feeling and just observe what happens in the next breath, pretty much. It's like whatever you're thinking, feeling, or experiencing, before the thought process or the experience is complete, you're already creating more and more of that. So it's something to be aware of. So let's talk about what we're going to be exploring today. Embark on a transformative journey with our episode, Making Peace with Uncertainty, where we unravel the mystique surrounding life's unpredictabilities. And believe me, there's a lot of them. This riveting exploration invites you to shift your perspective on uncertainty from a source of anxiety to a wellspring of opportunity. Join Dr. Dolores, that's me, as we unveil the secrets of finding serenity in the midst of chaos and empower you with practical strategies to dance with the unknown. Wouldn't that be really cool about just dancing with the unknown? It's like, it sounds so mysterious and so like juicy and enticing. In this episode, we're going to delve into the roller coaster of emotions and maze of unknowns that define uncertainty. Discover the unexpected beauty that emerges when we surrender to the flow of life and learn how to navigate career shifts, relationships, and unforeseen challenges with grace. And I'm going to add ease as well. Be prepared to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to reframe your relationship with uncertainty, recognizing the untapped potential that arises when we let go of the need for absolute control. All right, so we're talking about my favorite people out there, the control fiends. I relate to that because I too can be, we all like to have things but our particular way, and we could be kind of controlling and trying to be bossy maybe, or trying to make something happen. But we're in a world right now where all that stuff just doesn't work anymore, because no matter how determined you are or how hard you try, it's just adding more and more fuel to the pot to create more uncertainty. I joke about this. If you want to see somebody who is really out of control, just watch how they handle a stressful situation. It's almost like they think by turning up the volume or cranking up their control mechanism, that's going to make things more in their control, but when in essence, it makes them even more out of control. It's something to think about and wrap your mind around that. So let's look at uncertainty. So uncertainty refers to the lack of predictability or assurance about future events or outcomes. And I don't know about you, but it seems like when we look at, humanity's timeline, we've gone through quite a bit in the last 14 years. And I'm just going to backtrack to the year 2008, where it seems like the certainty rug just got pulled out from underneath us. That's where it kind of started for all of us, where up until 2008, you could bet your paycheck that A, B, and C and X, Y, and Z was going to happen. And then 2008 came, and then something happened energetically, something shifted, the rug got pulled out of from underneath us, and everything's been in uncharted waters with a lot of uncertainty and lots of changes and ebbs and flows, more so than ever has humanity ever experienced that. So anything that we had been working with or utilizing to feel like we were in control or we had a grasp on something no longer was working. It was almost as if our crystal balls that we had up until that point just dropped and shattered on the floor. We couldn't, it's so challenging right now to say that if I do A and B, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. It's just not what it is. There's no linear progression. We're moving from linear to more of a matrix type of formation, meaning that things are connected together in ways you have no idea. Our biggest job is to relax into that and just allow ourselves just to be in the flow of that. For so often, we have blinders on our eyes thinking that, oh, we have to figure it out. And I figured this out, and this is how I'm going to be able to achieve A, B, and C. Well, this is a time of a reminder that that's possibly one possible path to get there. But what about the other 20 possibilities that you're not even seeing because you have these blinders on? I love the universe because when you are in the moment and you are grounded in your reality and able to be in the present moment, this is where the miracles and wonderful lessons start unfolding for you. It's almost like this is where you get to orchestrate with the universe, your guides, your teachers who are in another dimension, and even with your higher self. When you're able to tune in, tap in, and embrace that, this is where magical things happen. So, what's natural, inherent part of life to experience a lot of uncertainty? I know that's hard to believe. And, when we look at the uncertainty that's happening right now, humanity is on this trajectory to evolve to what we call moving to the fifth dimensional reality, okay? And let me explain that just a little bit. The fifth dimensional reality is more of a place where there's love, prosperity, abundance, and it is a community or we type of um, mm, grouping versus a third dimensional reality where it's, lack, fear, um, it's all about me type of thing. It's ego based. So we are bridging, moving from the old third dimensional reality to the fifth dimensional reality. Okay, humanity is naturally evolving that way. Some people are accelerating their path by being more consciously aware and working on themselves. So if you're listening to this, you're probably one of those people. So what is happening is this: a lot of times when the things that we have currently, they're all creations that we created. So maybe you were at a different vibration when a certain creation was manifested, but now you're here and you've moved up here and it's no longer an energetic match. So what happens if it's not along, aligned with who you are energetically? It's naturally going to fall away. And this could be jobs, it could be um, living situations, it could be relationships, it could be almost anything. It could be your health as well, where you've been neglecting yourself and you're rising above something else. And it's about really focusing on raising your environment and everything you're experiencing so it's aligned with who you are energetically. So when we start matching our energies, this is where some things start falling away just by, the neutrality of it. The caveat is that we have attachment, unfortunately, and we feel that, oh my God, if this is ending, it's just like, what am I going to do? It's like you have a tendency to go down to the fear, gloom, and doom, and lack, and whatever that is, that rabbit hole. And you keep attaching to that, but guess what? You're attaching to something that is, when you attach to that and it's built on, fear, stress, anxiety, guess what? You're going to create more fear, stress, and anxiety in your life. Okay. So I personally am going through something right now where there's, been some changes, and thus, this, my spontaneous trip to Sedona was like a magical thing for me to sit back and regroup as to what my next steps are for myself and where I would like to go and where I am energetically aligned. And sometimes it's making really challenging decisions, okay, especially if it involves, a monetary thing. And it's always about being true and being in integrity with yourself, okay? When you do something out of fear that, oh my God, I'm not going to have X, Y, and Z to do A, B, and C, or lack, what am I going to do if I don't have this funding or whatever? It's like you're focusing energy on the lack and not having. So, guess what you're going to create? More of the same. And you know what? You're going to create it almost instantaneously. So, it's about allowing yourself to, number one, trust, because a lot of times when we can't see what's in front of us, or the universe has a curtain there and the veil is not lifted, it's about having blind faith and trust. And you could add the word surrendering to the moment. So we get out of our own way so the universe can bless us with what is next for you and what is more aligned with who you are as a soul and an energetic being. It's really that simple. We as human beings make it so complicated. It's like there's so much drama involved with that. It's like, how much action-packed drama can you fit into like a little box? And so it's, for me, this journey has been very, very fruitful being here in Sedona at this time. And I'm so excited of what's to come because I'm embracing my uncertainty right now and just doing my best to be in the present moment and witnessing what nature has in store for me. Um, so we're going to segue on to our first break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about more about how you can embrace uncertainty and move through it. So you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we return, we'll talk more about becoming friends with uncertainty. See you when we come back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we are talking about becoming friends with uncertainty. And before the break, we were talking about just us getting out of our own way, because so many of us try to control things, even though on some level, we know that controlling something is not that good, but it's usually our Achilles heel. It's like our go-to when things start getting stressed out. You just amp up that control, and you get to see how really out of control somebody is when you witness that. I've been there. I've probably been doing that to certain parts of my life, but it's really comforting knowing that when you start embracing and feeling comfortable with what is, and you get out of your own way, this is where all the magic starts to happen and you get those gold nuggets. So, what we're going to talk about now is how do we embrace and move through uncertainty? It's about developing resilience and adaptability and a positive mindset. One of the best things that I think the most important thing is acceptance. Accepting, okay, this is what's happening, without judging or criticizing it. Well, you may not like it, but it's about accepting that. And if you don't like it, I invite you to feel into what it triggers in you, because this is where your gold nuggets are. Is it about not having control, like we talked about? Look at, why do you feel like you have to be in control? Because there's some really deep-seated things there that maybe need to be looked at. And once you look at that, and it's like opening the hood of a car and look at the engine. It's like what's hidden in there that you can't see, okay, but it's still running the show. Focus on the present. So many of us are in our heads, and when you're not in the present moment, you're not in your physical body. So there's a disconnect between your mind and your body. Okay, I see this a lot in my healthcare practice, especially when patients come into surgery. It's like one of my gifts is like I could see energy, feel it, taste it, whatever. I'm just a energetic, whatever you want to call it, energy whisperer, I guess. Uh, and the thing is, it's like when a patient comes into surgery, I could see them. It's like their energy around their head is so much, but the rest of their body, it's so closely locked to their body. So what happens if you're in your head and not fully integrated into your body? You are, stressed out and worried. You are probably, worried about something, thinking about yesterday, contemplating tomorrow. You're in the past, you're in the future, you're not in the present time. So, what I usually do for those patients, I stand by their feet and I'll just touch their toes, and I just pull their energy from the top of their head through their body all the way down to their toes. So, it's like like we used to have shades on a window. It's like pulling the shade from the top of their head down to their toes. So they're in their body and they're more balanced, because when they're in their body and more balanced, I believe that they do better in their surgical procedures. That's a sidebar. So when we focus on the present, you are open to possibilities, because we don't know what's going to happen next. And it's about being curious and childlike, allowing ourselves to experience the joy in the moment. And for many of us, we have forgotten how to do that. Life has been, hasn't been great for a lot of people. And, those experiences that we've all had, they've kind of robbed us of the joy because it's like that little inner child within us is tucked away in a box and, not allowed to come out and play. It's time to step into that and allow that inner child to come out and play and to be in the present moment and experience whatever is going on and not having a filter with trying to figure out what this is all about. I love a colleague of mine out here in Sedona says, don't ask the W's and the H's, the what, who, when, where, why, and how. It's like, just be curious and say, teach me something when something happens or a situation happens. Not like, why does this keep happening to me? Just say, teach me what you need to know. It's a completely different way of exploring and being open to possibilities. Our human mind wants to figure it all out. I'm here to remind you it's okay not to have the answers to figure it out. You're not going to get penalized if you don't have the right answer. Okay? Who made that up anyway? Being flexible, being in the moment, and just following your inner guidance as what it wants you to do next. Funny story, okay? Driving around, it's just like, when you're on vacation, it's like something catches your eye, so you just decide to stop the car spontaneously, and if it's in a safe place, and get out and kind of take a look around. You, by doing that, you get to see something that if you were so honed in with your blinders on, you would have completely missed. Now, being out here in Arizona, especially northern Arizona, we've had a lot of rain on the West Coast, and the cloud formations here are amazing. In fact, there's the fog and the low-lying clouds that are kissing the red rocks. So I saw that, and there was a place to pull off. So I pulled off, and I just sat there and I looked and I just observed. And it was just so spectacular because how often do we miss those things like that because we're so focused and got our blinders on thinking that, oh my God, we got to do X, Y, and Z. We're focusing on something that's in our head versus what's right in front of us. So be flexible. Allow yourself to be led to where you need to go. If something tells you to, you're at home and, go down to the coffee shop and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, why do I need to do that? I can make coffee at home. I invite you to follow that lead because you never know what is there. You might cross paths with somebody that you might need to meet, or you might hear something while you're there that's the next piece to where you need to go. It's about relying on those little nudges you get from the universe and just go there. So building resilience, it's about coping mechanisms. It's about moving through tough times. And I know I'm speaking to an audience that has experienced a lot of challenges in their lives. And you know what? You are who you are today because of your resilience to move through those things and to um, take what you've learned to build yourself and to move yourself forward. Learn from those experiences. Sometimes when crap happens, you think, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. But in essence, it might be the biggest gift that was ever given to you. Okay. It might be the biggest gift you have ever received. Yes, while you're going through it, it's the pits. But once you get to the other side of that, you get to reflect back and see how far you have come from that point into building who you are today. I remember when my brother was going through his divorce, um, almost 20 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long. He was just down and out. And I told him, I said, look, I said, in a year's time, you're going to look back at this and see what a blessing this was. And sure enough, a year later, he was engaged to a woman who was even, more of his equal match than his previous relationship. So you just never know what's going to happen. And time doesn't stand still. Time continues to march on. It's about you stepping into moving forward and learning from what wisdom you had gained. We talk about things leaving us. It's about being comfortable with that, learning how to not be attached to outcomes, because when we start getting attached and thinking that this is the only thing, the absolute thing, we rob ourselves of all the amazing gifts and possibilities that are to come in the future. I also want to say too, it's like if you're really going through a puddle and you're really having a tough time, just seek support. If you need to see a counselor or need to see a coach or work with a coach, somebody like me, reach out and connect with people, because it's not about being the Lone Ranger anymore. It's about setting the intention and just allowing the universe to connect you with the people that you need to be connected to assist you on your path. Okay. There's no shame in asking for help. And if you think that you could do it all yourself, well, you might want to look at why that is so. Something to ponder. We talk about setting goals and stuff like that. And I like to keep goal setting very flexible and liable, meaning that, or labile rather, they're changing. So sometimes, setting a goal that, okay, I'm going to, start walking more every day. That's something to attain to, and maybe set steps or whatever. But sometimes we put these outrageous goals out there and we put all this energy into creating this goal, and it's almost like we're pushing a boulder up a hill instead of being flexible with the ebbs and flows of how it needs to be created and manifested. So just be aware of that as well. Always take care of yourself. Self-care is so essential. If you are not giving from your cup you're not giving from your cup being full and giving from the overflow of your full cup, we're going to be in trouble, Houston. Okay. Because you need to take care of yourself first, so you could be 100% fully grounded, fully aware, fully awake, and be able to serve people from that space versus having them stick a gas hose in you and siphoning out your energy. That is not how you take care of other people. You give from the overflow of your cup. So we talked quite a bit about things that we could do to build our certainty with uncertainty muscle, so to say. So we're going to get ready to go on another break right now, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we return, we're going to learn more about being more aligned with being certain in uncertainty. So stay tuned and we'll talk when we get back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner and energy whisperer, your host. And we've been talking today, today's topic has been making peace with uncertainty. And, we've had in our previous two segments here, we talked about, the most important things and that are essential. And it's so much about being in the present moment and to just make peace with what is going on in your world. And so if that rings true to you, I'm sure that you have your own stories to share around this. But, we need to know some other things about uncertainty and why it's so energetically charged. Okay, so let's kind of look at a little bit of that, and then we'll circle back as to how we could get ourselves out of that. So I think the biggest thing is the fear of the unknown. It's like sometimes that scares the bejeebers out of people. Uncertainty, the fear of the unknown. Our brain is wired to be cautious, to be in control, to protect ourselves, but it's mostly the ego protecting itself. The fear of not knowing what might happen can trigger your body's stress response, leading to heightened emotional reactions. So this, of course, is where people are in react mode. They are, maybe they consider them, other people visualize this as it being, well, they're just so emotionally reactive or charged. Well, they're reactive. And so what is important is to pull yourself back when you feel like you're going down that rabbit hole of being reactive and just catch yourself and just say, I'm being triggered. And why is that so? You might get a wealth of information from that. Another thing that uncertainty triggers is the loss of control. Humans have a natural tendency to seek control and predictability in their lives. Well, there you go. We're going to just blow that all out of the window because it's like that's an old paradigm that's from last century or last millennial or whatever. It's no longer working. So it's like our perception determines our loss of control. Instead of possibly wanting to control everything, it might be a nice little tidbit to just allow things to unfold. I know that's going to be tough for some people because those control fiends and everything that has to be perfect and stuff like that, those three, the trifecta there, perfection, control, and it's all about me. Those three kind of go together. So, it's about unraveling that trifecta and allowing it to branch out into different aspects and to maybe even different timelines. We talked about timelines in another episode. Anyway, anxiety and stress, anything that triggers us into anxiety and stress takes us out of our physical body and into our head. That simple. So when we are stressed, our body is responding to something that's happening in our mind, what we're thinking about, or it triggers a past memory or a past response. Sometimes this stuff is our stuff, sometimes it's other people's stuff. And let me elaborate a little bit. For those of us who are empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people, energetically, boundaries are really a challenge. So it's about knowing where you end and your stuff ends and where the other person's stuff begins. So you're not able to enmesh their stuff into your stuff and think it's your stuff. Okay, I hope that made sense. I think it did. Okay, so when that is the problem or that happens, it's important to discern. It's important to shift your mentality. If you feel like you're going into a react state, just pull yourself back and just say, okay, why is this so? And if this is not your stuff, here's something that a little tool that you could use that'll help you. Just to say to the universe, if this is not my stuff, by the laws of the universe, it needs to be removed from my space immediately by the laws of the universe. So another way of doing it, I always say, if this is not my stuff, it needs to be removed right now, immediately. You're no longer allowed in my space. Because number one, we're sovereign beings. Okay. What that means is that we are here on earth. Nothing can come into our energy field unless we allow it. Now, the tricky part is that how much of the stuff that we experience we allow on an unconscious level. Okay. So you're making what is unconscious conscious now. Okay. So by saying, if this is not my stuff, it needs to remove itself from my energy field immediately. You're calling your sovereign rights as a human being. So the energy cannot come into your space. You're being conscious about it. So it's important to say these things, especially when you're things are going along and all of a sudden you get a hiccup and you get triggered. There's might be an unconscious pattern kind of happening, or an unconscious contract, unconscious permission that's there. And you could choose and change that at any time. It's up to you. So we talked a little bit about, some of the causes that create, a lot of uncertainty or actually, that they have that charge around uncertainty. It's, sometimes there's cultural stuff. And that too is shifting and moving. A lot of that is all ancestral patterning stuff of what you should and shouldn't do. And I always ask the question, well, you shouldn't do this. And I always say, well, who made that up? I mean, be funny about that, because sometimes it's just a social norm that is no longer effective and is outdated and doesn't belong where we're going. A lot of times, if we don't have all the information that we need, we just automatically go into, oh my God, the sky's falling, little little chicken red or whatever he was. He's like a fable or something. He was, reacting to everything. Something would happen. Oh my God, the sky's falling. Well, no, the sky's not falling. You don't have all the information. So next time you get triggered, before you go down the rabbit hole of react, pull yourself back and say, all right, I think I need more information, and just ask for more information before you respond. Sometimes we get part of the situation, not the whole situation, and we make a judgment call on just that. And then we kind of we assume maybe other things are happening, but they're not. And you know what assume means? Assume. So when you assume that you know all the details, but you don't, that's when it kind of comes back to bite you a little bit, and you don't want to do that. So just ask questions, be curious. And you know, we always seem to take uncertainty as a personal thing, like how is it going to affect me, and what am I going to get out of this? And you know it's okay to be concerned. And it's okay to allow yourself and give yourself permission to look at it from a different perspective or a different way. Don't limit yourself by your own restrictions. Time to open yourself up and allow yourself to experience more. So, we talk about how do we embrace uncertainty and be comfortable with it. When we're able to be I'm going to call it the eye of the storms of our life, okay? I don't know for anybody who's ever had the experience of living through storms like a hurricane. I grew up in New England, so we had hurricanes quite a bit. But when you're in the center of the storm, there's this surreal calmness. Like being in the center of a hurricane, it's the most incredible sensation. It's like you could hear a pin drop. There's no birds, there's no noise, there's nothing. It is calm. It's almost surreally scary if you're not used to it. Yet there's this calmness that everything's going to be fine. And then, of course, you're in the center of the storm and the storm is circling around you. Just like being in uncertainty, the only thing that you could be certain about is you and how you show up in your world. It's about being the eye of the storms that are surrounding you. It's about being at your still point, grounding point, still point, 0 point, whatever that is, however you defined it. It's about whatever is going on within you. It's almost like you have Teflon around you. Nothing sticks. That's a good visual. Just imagine yourself coated with Teflon. So when you're in uncertainty mode, you're there, and whatever's uncertain around you is just falling away. And you know within yourself that whatever is happening, you got this. It's about self-reflection. How can I show up better in the world for myself first? And also, how can I be in integrity with myself first before I interject out into the world? Because remember, it all starts with us first. We are that pebble that we're fine-tuning and evolving. And when we drop it into the pool of collected consciousness, that little pebble ripples out to the edges. And it influences and affects other people. It might be an indirect way of doing it, but it's effective. The only person you could fix or work on is yourself. And amazingly, when you do that, you raise your frequency and vibration. More miracles and more coinky-dinks or coincidences, as I call them, occur. And it's like life becomes so serendipitous because you're tuned in, dialed in, and you're listening to the inner knowingness that is your innate wisdom, and you're able to move forward. So we're getting ready for another break. I can't believe it. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we've been talking about making peace with uncertainty. So when we come back, we'll just recap everything, and then we'll talk about a few other things that you can do to be more comfortable with uncertainty. So see you when we come back.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner and medical intuitive and energy whisperer. And today's episode, we've been talking about making peace with uncertainty. And, we covered quite a bit in the last half an hour-ish or so, and things that really push people's buttons and how we could really move forward to create more peace and harmony and possibilities in our lives. So, I'm just going to give a little plug here because, for those people who are those procrastinators that, they set those goals in January, like, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then all of a sudden February 1st comes in and you're like, those goals have just gone by the wayside. We got something for you. It's called Take Action Now Summit, which is going to be on February 1st. And you could buy your tickets at https / takeactionnowsummit.com, where I will be one of the speakers with, I think there's another 14 people who are going to be speaking about things that you could do to move forward and, get that oomph back into your step. So what I want to talk about now too is let's talk about 3 takeaways that we could focus on to becoming more certain in uncertain times. So we spoke a lot about being mindful and being in the present moment focus. Key, very much important. It takes courage, being brave, and a lot of trust, and maybe blind faith. It's about allowing ourselves and giving ourselves permission to do something different and giving us the grace and allowing ourselves the grace to do this with a lot more ease. Being mindful in the present moment, embracing uncertainty involves cultivating mindfulness and staying present in the current moment. By practicing mindfulness techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, or anything else that you're aligned with that's going to keep you present in your body right here, right now, will reduce your anxiety and make you more aware of being right here, right now, instead of worrying about tomorrow or contemplating. Focus on your resilience and focus on becoming the best person you can be, because you are all you got and nobody else is going to do it for you. And you need to love yourself enough to put yourself first and treat yourself like you would want to be treated, how you would treat other people. Being flexible and adaptable is really, really, really important. And seek out social support. If you need help with anything or you need support, people like myself, I coach people and I help people. Just go to my website, drdoloresfazzino.com, and you could look under sessions and I'd be happy to help you. And also, if you're caught up in the whole idea of not being in your body or in the present moment, or you have a tough time being that way, I invite you to download a free gift from my website called Being in the Present Moment. It's a guided meditation to assist you to be in your body right here, right now, which means that you'll be in your present moment. So next week, we're going to kind of shake it up a little bit and we're going to talk about medical intuition with myself. So, many people ask me about my medical intuitive practice. And so I'm going to share next week a little bit about that and some case studies from my experiences with helping other people and to heal in ways they never thought possible. And, what I'm going to share with you is that medical intuition, there's many forms and many different ways of doing it. my way is a little unique to me, whereas I have not taken any coursework or, any serious coursework or whatever. It just innately comes to me and I know these things. So for some people, it's about studying with somebody to do that. For me, it was about just continuing to use the tools and the skills that were innately channeled through me to utilize that. So I'm really excited to share that. And just a little bit about next week's episode. In our enlightening conversation, Dr. Dolores shares personal stories and insights gained through years of honing intuitive abilities. Discover how the subtle energies surround us can hold a key to understanding and addressing health challenges. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, this episode will open your mind to incredible possibilities of intriguing and integrating intuition into traditional healthcare practices. Because we're at a time right now where we're bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual and the invisible with the visible. So there's more going on than people have an idea. And many of us play in the quantum field, which is kind of fun and delicious at the same time. So prepare to be inspired and empowered as Dr. Dolores imparts practical tips and exercises to tap into your intuitive potential, fostering a deeper connection with your own body and intuition. So stay tuned next week for this. I feel that this will be very transformative for many people, and it will probably open Pandora's box of deliciousness and wonderful things that you never thought were possible. So, as we close our episode this week, I just want people to know that you're really doing a good job. You are here for a bigger purpose than you know. And what we're witnessing now with all this chaos and uncertainty, there's definitely something amazing that's on the other side of this. And we're just kind of reshuffling ourselves personally, but the universe is also reshuffling things to get things aligned to where they need to go. I believe the key is to focus on what you want to create, not what you don't have or wish you had, but what you want to create. Just feel into the feeling of what it would be like to have what you desire. And just feel that. And feel all the juiciness and deliciousness that's. If it's just feeling trust and love, just feel what it would feel like to feel like you were in a state of complete trust and maybe a complete state of love and appreciation. Once you start focusing on those areas and that vibration, anything that's not of that will have its natural tendency to just fall away. And just, I invite you to allow it to fall away with so much grace and ease and appreciation for the gifts that it had given you. Because those things have assisted you on your path. And it's just time to open up to more possibilities that are more aligned with where you are going in the future. It's not about being resistant or being stuck. It's about allowing, receiving, and moving forward. So, as we part, just know that you are loved, valued, appreciated, and respected more than you could ever know. Remember, you are worth it. And we will see you next week for another episode on the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.